Hello, and welcome back to the Let's Talk podcast featuring Blackbelt9, myself. So, in previous podcasts, we've talked about a variety of different things, but today we are going to be diving into a bit more of an ethical dilemma. Most of you by now have probably heard of the trolley problem. So basically, if you don't know and you're unfamiliar with the concept, the trolley problem is fundamentally used to measure somebody's ethical morality. So if you ever take an ethics class, this will probably be the first week or two you'll go over the trolley problem. So the basic trolley problem that most people have heard about, it's labeled the switch, and it is simply where a trolley is going in a straight line and it's going to hit 5 people. So these 5 people cannot leave the track. They are stuck on the track. The trolley will hit them, and it is guaranteed that all 5 of them will die. Unless you, the bystander, pull the switch. The switch will take it to a junction and will hit only one person that can't move and is guaranteed to die. Probably about 60 to 70% of people will choose to pull the switch and save 5 people versus one person. This is generally the more ethical solution, is to pull the switch. However, there is ethical arguments made for not pulling the switch. There's the inaction approach, which is just refrain from activating the switch, but that does let the death of 5 people happen. But the ethical, it is saying that instead of you indirectly killing the person, you are doing nothing and letting basically nature takes its course. That is one argument for taking inaction on the trolley problem. So on the basic, the switch problem, in general, I guess, what would you do? Just think about it. What would you do if this was actually happen? Some people might just naturally take inaction because they're frozen with shock and fear, and they might not respond in time. But if you were able to respond in time and you had the switch in your hand and all you had to do is pull it down to make the decision, what are you doing? So that is the basic problem. Another problem of the trolley problem is called the temporal switch, which essentially is you either, same thing, you have a switch, but instead if you pull the switch, you are guaranteed you're killing one person that's in your present. Whereas if you don't pull the switch, 5 people in the future will die. So it really is just the same exact problem, but this added factor of it being, would you rather kill 5 people in the future or one person in the present? So it is just adding on more factors that try to play on humans' natural emotions and logical thinking. So obviously still, if you're thinking rationally and you're not using irrational thinking, you would still just pull the switch, saving 5 lives. But the whole present future might affect you differently. So what do you think in the temporal switch? Are you pulling it or not? And if you're somebody who doesn't pull it from the previous problem, all these problems going forward, you're not going to pull the switch, most likely. So now we go into this scenario. This is one of my most favorite scenarios because this is where most people usually drop off and they won't get involved, which to me, it's like, if you're going to get involved, you got to get involved all the way throughout, because then your reasoning, it changes and you become irrational in your thinking, and no one likes irrational thinking. So the next one's called the fat man. If you've ever heard of this scenario, it's basically the trolley problem, but you're on like a perch, a bridge or whatever, and theoretically, if you push a fat man off the bridge, you are actually doing the action of pushing off. So this is a more direct action that you have to take. The fat man will stop the trolley so the 5 people will not die. So if you do nothing, the fat man will live and the 5 people will die. But if you take direct action and push the fat man. So some people, mostly people who are looking at more the lawful approach, you not getting involved is for the best of everyone. But it's better to look at this more of a ethical standpoint so you don't mess with the whole trolley problem overall. So simply my thinking is if you're going to pull the switch at the beginning, all these other questions, no matter the circumstance, should really just stay the same if you value more human lives over less human life. But this action, obviously, through a law perspective, you would be actually committing some form of homicide, rather than just standing by and watch as a bystander. But that's all just based on what your personal morals and your ethics are. That's the whole point of the trolley problem, is to figure out what you believe in ethically. So this is the fat man problem. So would you push a fat man off to save 5 people? So now the next one is called the asymmetric stakes. So you can either kill one person or cause a fatal injury by pulling the switch, or you can let the trolley continue and it cause 5 non-fatal injuries. So for me, I know how I was talking, if you pull the switch, you're going to pull it the whole time. For me, this one, I would go with the 5 non-fatal injuries, just because these people, no matter what, will get to live their life. Even if it was something as extreme as paralysis, they still get to live on. That other one person does not get to live and contribute to the world. So for me, it's as simple as just valuing life over non-essential type of living. But yours might be different, so what would you do in the case? Okay, so the next one, this one's where it really is more like, they call it the discrimination of asymmetric uncertainty. So you know for sure, if you pull the lever, you know who that person is. And you are certain that it is just one person, right? If you don't pull the lever, you are unsure of the number. It could be 1,000. So basically what this is meant to do is test like your logical thinking. Like, would you know for sure that it is at least, I think it's at least one. So would you, now knowing that it could be like 100,000 people, would you now pull the lever and save 100,000 people? Or it could simply just be 2 or 1 person, just another one. So the next one is called the driver. It's where you're actually the driver of the trolley. So now, do you drive through 5 people, or do you take the turn and only kill 1 person? This is the whole idea. Like, if you're driving down a road, you either hit a human being or you hit an animal. Most people are going to hit the animal and not the human being. So there's 5 people on the road, or if you take this off-ramp, you only kill 1 person. Most people will probably pick the 1 person. This is just the same general concept. Now, where it gets a little bit more complex is, this is probably my favorite scenario. So you have the 1 in 5 ratio still holds true, so your ethical decisions should still remain the same, yet you add in an emotional factor. Basically selfishness, a human value that can be good or bad at different times in life. So now you take 1 person, you know this person personally, let's say it's either your best friend, your family member, anybody, and then you take any number of people that are just complete strangers on the other side of the track. So it could be 5, it could be 10, it could be 100,000. Usually it's not going to matter on the number. So do you change direction now and you injure or kill your significant other, your sibling, your parent, your best friend? Doesn't matter. The person that you can think of right now that means the most to you in the world. Do you take them out? Or do you kill potentially like 5 other people, 100 other people that you have to think about? Those 5 people have a son, they have a father, they have a sibling, they have a significant other. They have human connections that go similar to your human connection. So this one's where like less people are going to kill their person they care about versus the strangers. If you were in theory going through the same ethical thinking as you did at the beginning, you would kill the person you care most about. For me, the way I usually work through this is that there's too many lives on stake on the other. Like, if let's say you brought the number up to 1 million, or let's say you do the whole world population versus that one person, how much do you actually value that person's life over the whole world population? And this could also get complex when you dive into countries who are looking at like world hunger and all these other things. And when you start to slip up on your ethical values because you care about a person, it can lead to some serious issues down the road. Now, that being said, most people in the moment, I would consider it humane to, like, either decision I would consider very humane. I would not judge openly about either one. So if you chose to save let's say your mother, I would not judge you for that at all. I would understand completely. But if you were to save 1,000 people, I would also understand that completely. So this is where I kind of sit on the fence. Like, would I seriously sit there and watch my brother die for a bunch of people I don't know? Probably realistically not. But I would like to think that I would be able to make the most ethical decision for the human race in general. So this was just tackling the trolley problem. If you enjoyed this little, I don't know what I call it, a rant, I guess. A little less podcast themed as the last two were, where there was an exact direction. This was me just tackling an ethical dilemma with the trolley problem. If you want to see another one with the trolley problem, maybe I actually go in depth on the terms. I could make an educational thing about it. I really like just tackling ethical dilemmas in general. I think they're very interesting. I think we all should at least think about things like this. Whether we're all placed in hopefully no one's placed in that situation in their life, but you never know. This is like the ethical root of every human being. This is how you can understand how they're going to act in a certain situation if you just ask them a trolley problem. It's very interesting. And it can get very heated if you're in a room with like 30 people that disagree. So, this was Let's Talk, Blackbelt9. Support on SoundCloud has been amazing. So, if you like what you're hearing, you want more, comment what you want. I'm working on getting this on Spotify, and we're taking over on all platforms. Go check out my YouTube at Blackbelt9 for a long format podcast with guest on. And yeah, drop a follow if you liked what you saw. Have a good day.